Hi Yogi, welcome to your practice. My name is Alan. This is Yin Yoga. For this practice, we shall be stretching or expanding the front side of our bodies. So that would be the anterior chain. That would include the part around your collarbone, your chest, your belly, your abdominal wall, the sides of your ribs, your hip flexors, the tops of your thighs, the front side of your thighs, your inner thighs, the shins, and the top side of our feet. We'll begin with our first pose. We'll stay on our Virasana. So that would be a thunderbolt pose. So go ahead, feet, big toes together with your knees played to the opposite sides. And we shall stay here one bit at a time because we are trying to introduce to you later the post straddle. And it's not like everyone is comfortable with falling on their backs on the mat with their knees bent. So just imagine the stretch coming from your belly to your hip flexor, down to your quads, down to your knees, and then so much um, tension coming from the knees all the way down to the shins, to your thighs or your calf muscles rather, and then down to the tops of your feet. So that would also include your ankle. So in the meantime, we shall stay here on our Virasana for about 5 minutes. And you're gonna feel a lot of things on your lower limbs. So if this is already too much while listening, you may roll a blanket or fold a towel and place it under or in between your butt cheeks and your heels. Maybe that is too much. Maybe place another blanket or a towel under your shins and your mat. So try to notice which part would need some assistance, would need some cushion, and again, we'll be staying here for the next 5 minutes. You may allow your hips to tilt inwards so that while curling your back, you're actually activating your hips while trying to feel that sensation around your thighs, your knees, your calf muscles, your feet, your ankles, your heels. And like I said, if at first, the very first time that you have your toes untucked, meaning to say the tops of your feet are in contact with your mat, this might not be too comfortable for others. So for the next 4 or 3 minutes, you may tuck your toes. And that would be a toe squat, if you will. That's another yin pose, but it's also would help. That would also help for you to adjust on the sensation that you are feeling at this point. So I'm just gonna face the short side of the mat, the top side of the mat, so you will see me from this side we are already preparing ourselves to the straddle. So from here, having your knees to the opposite sides of the mat, you're sitting on your heels, you may slowly slide your hips or your feet to the sides. And again, not everyone is really or would really be comfortable with this, with the hips right by or inside your feet. Meaning to say the feet are just right outside the outer thighs or the butt cheeks. And I removed my, I had my hair untied because we will be lying down later. We're staying here for another minute, and then for every time that we go down, we shall stay another minute. Now slowly lean back with your hands on the mat. Fingers pointing towards the feet or towards the front. We're gonna stay here for about a minute or two. So at this point, you might already feel that strain from the ankles, maybe around the knees. Try to stay here. Let your breath be your guide. Slowly, you're gonna drop one elbow at a time. So placing the elbows or the forearms on the floor. Now you can reach the sides of your feet and try to notice if this is already too much, because for some, there's already that real good stretch, a deep stretch with the extensions of the hips, right? And the flexion of your knees. You may gaze upwards. We'll stay here for another 30 seconds. Slowly, you're gonna slide your hands down, your arms down, until your head drops on the floor with your arms outstretched right by the sides of our feet. If you can, you may drop your shoulders, and there's the feeling, a very deep sensation on your legs. Because at this point, you can feel the tension coming from your hip flexors, the tops of your thighs, to your kneecaps, maybe around your ankles, as well as the tops of your feet and your toes. Again, if this is too much, you may slide a towel or a blanket underneath, in between your mat and your back, or you may stay with your head lifted a bit. If not, this is too much, you may place a block under your head to elevate, to give that elevation. One more minute here. Again, this is your straddle. And this is more of the opening of your hip flexors, your inner thighs, your quads, the tops of your thighs, as well as your outer external thighs, and your ankles and your feet. Slowly, one elbow at a time, you're gonna side to the or roll onto one side as you prop. Slowly, one elbow, and then your hands until you're back on this sitting position. When you're ready, you're gonna place your hands in front. We'll stay on your tabletop for about 2 to 3 minutes to let the blood flow. So because this is not your usual positioning of your joints, of your body, of your legs, of your muscles, there's that feeling of numbness maybe around the joints, around the ligaments. So we're trying to let the blood flow again. If you want, you may tap your toes just to encourage the blood flow once again. Next up, we're gonna do the frog pose. So when you're ready, I'm just gonna step back so you can see me clearly. With your tabletop, begin to turn your toes outwards and have your knees as wide as the mat and stay for a while. So at this point, you will feel a lot around your inner thighs this time. And unlike the other flows that we did before, there's a little bit of a stretch, a real stretch and a deep one. So try to take your time. When you're ready, on your exhale, we're gonna drop your elbows again. To stay on your forearms with your palms and your elbows parallel to your shoulders. Begin to slide your knees as wide or maybe wider than your mat, and then slowly dropping your hips on the mat and your belly. We'll stay here for a while. Adjust your elbows accordingly, lifting your chest, but still with your hips and your belly staying on your mat. Both toes are splayed or on the opposite sides of your mat. And try to notice if there's already the uneasiness around your knees, the insides of your knees. Then maybe slide a pillow or a blanket under. Take another minute and we'll extend one leg at a time all the way to the back. Slowly Straighten one leg at a time and uncurl the toes. Repositioning your elbows right under your shoulders. We are now on our Sphinx pose and we'll stay here again for another 5 minutes. Now slowly pulling your elbows outside of your mat, you'll be dropping your chin or your forehead on top of your stacked hands. So place one hand on top of the other and we'll just try to relax our hips. So try to sway your hips from side to side and maybe windshield wipe your heels to create that decompression, unwinding, and relaxing those hips. Next up, we're gonna do our seal pose. When you're ready, stay here for a while. Keep extending your legs at the back. Uncurl your toes. And when you're ready, reach for the tops of your mat with your fingertips right on the edges of the mat or maybe on top of the mat. When you're ready, on your inhale, you're gonna press yourself up, lifting your elbows off the floor. And as you keep pressing your chest forward with your abdomen actively pressing on the floor and your hips down on the floor, can feel your back bend here as well. But the seal pose would mean an opening of the chest, but also a back bend. So both the anterior chain and the posterior chain of our body will be affected with this pose. You'll stay here for the next 3 minutes. You may gaze downwards. Again, do not forget to breathing in and breathing out to your nose. You may have your feet together, or you may spread your legs apart if you feel a little bit of that tightness around the hips, or maybe there's so much pressure coming from the quads against your mat. If you need to maybe break that sliding effect with your palms, you may place a towel or a blanket under. Another minute, and then we'll rest. Slowly dropping one elbow at a time. You're gonna roll on one side, and we'll stay here for a while. Our next pose would be the opening of our chest, our shoulders. So your chest will be opened as well as your hips. So you can feel a lot around the hips. Slowly pressing yourself up. You're gonna grab a block or maybe a thick pillow. And what we will do is the squat. So from here, you're gonna sit on the mid height or the middle part of your block. So go ahead. With your feet on your mat, spread your legs with your toes pointed at 2 o'clock and the 10 o'clock, meaning to say a little bit 10 degrees outwards. Yeah? And this is really good with the pillow or maybe the block under your hips, especially for those who couldn't do a regular or a deep squat. So sometimes, depends on your anatomy, your squat would make your heels lifted, and while really, with your knees really splayed outwards, maybe that is too much, then there's a tendency of you lifting your heels. For others, sitting on their heels, or meaning to say, their heels on the ground, but their hips are way hovering just above the mat, is also accessible. So try to notice which feels easier, which feels more comfortable at this point. When you're ready, you're gonna place your right hand first outside your right foot. Then slowly your right elbow goes beyond your right knee. When you're ready, you're gonna turn your hand outwards and reaching all the way back. And then your left arm reaches all the way to the back as well, up and then back. So this is an opening of the chest, the front side of your shoulder, as well as your hips. We're gonna stay here for about 2 minutes, and then we'll switch sides. So at this point, while we are wrapping our right leg or our right knee with our right arm, so the right hand is either pressed against the right thigh or just wrapped around the right ankle. And just stay here. You may lean towards the right with your head hanging. Another minute. Again, like I said, this particular flow might be too deep for beginners. So you might want to try my previous flows before we try this flow. Slowly inhale, letting go of the bind at the back. Let go of your right hand, followed by your left. Whew. We're gonna do that on the left side this time. So when you're ready, lean to your left side and place your left hand outside first of your left foot, right? When you're ready, let go of your left hand on the floor, and then you're gonna wrap. So your left elbow goes beyond or right in front of your left knee, and wrap as you reach your left thigh or maybe your left ankle with your left hand. From here, you're gonna externally rotate and reach your back with your right hand. For some, you may be able to reach the opposite finger, then do so, but do not force it, because at this point, with the hips floating or maybe on the mat or on the block rather, and then our hips are already opened, and then there's the opening of the chest and the front of the shoulders, there's already too much tension going around the body. So just take one stretch at a time. Again, you may dangle your head towards your left shoulder and stay. We'll be here for another minute. And then we'll let go. Slowly on your next inhale, unbind both hands at the back. Let go. Whew. So you can really feel the stretch of your inner thigh as well as the front side of your body, your chest, and your shoulders. Our last one will go back to our starting pose, our Virasana, our Thunderbolt pose, and then we'll close our class. When you're ready, begin to let go of the block, and we're gonna kneel with our heels or with our hips down on our heels. We'll stay here and try to notice your body. How does it feel after that intense stretch of the anterior chain of our bodies, the front side of our bodies? Take one big inhale, opening your mouth inside out, placing your hands together to your heart center. Thank you so much for letting me guide you for another flow with Yin Yoga. I'll see you again next time.